ano gid, from the internet kay hindi ko siya ma-download. But anyway, I'll be sending you the summary of this particular presentation, no? So we will continue. Last time we have taken up, no, domestic violence among the elderly, abuse and violence among the elderly. Okay, so this is a continuation of that particular topic. Okay, so before we start, may I just ask, no, what can you still recall, no, of our discussion from the previous class, from our previous class? Okay, sige, go ahead, Miss Lalis.
So, ang aton nga mga ging discuss mo last week is different types of abuse na mga abuse, like example, mga physical abuse, self-neglect, and then emotional or psychosocial abuse. And then mga risk factors between ang different between the penetrator kag ang victim.
The difference between the
Penetrator.
perpetrator,
Oo ba?
ha? Lain ang penetrator, Miss Lalis.
Oo ba?
Oh,
Nalipat.
ang wala kita klase sa ano ha, basi kag lain da karon ila paminsaron. It's the okay lang na ga. Okay, practice makes perfect. Okay. So, let's raise hand, no? Mr. Dinzon? Nawindang
Yes,
ka sang
ma'am.
answer ni Miss. Oh, aabi ko na. O, sige, let's hear your answer. I saw, were you raising your hand?
Okay na, ma'am. Pero like, do
Sige.
ipipit ko lang guro mong ginambal, ma'am.
Same man. Sige. Okay, so anyway, no, we have taken up those topics, no, about abuse and its different forms along with its risk factors. Okay, so this one is it's a voice, no, of one of the survivors, no, survivor of domestic abuse, okay, or domestic violence. So, okay, according sa iya, no, I never thought it would happen to me. For me to come forward, I was ashamed, no. So, being the victim, siya pa ang nahuya. Okay? I was feeling like it was my fault because I raised him. No? So, kita ninyo na, though, ano siya, uh, it's, ano ni gani, one of the perfect character or trait of a victim. No? Masyado, they feel like it is their fault ngayon sakit pa sila. Okay? And sometimes, maybe, they are also having doubts. It's because they were the ones who raised their children. No? They feel that they may have been their family or immediate family member. Okay? So this one is another no, survivor of domestic abuse. Okay? So you lose your trust in people when they close and it. So this is one of the psychosocial dysfunctional, no, consequence of a person who have had domestic abuse, domestic violence, no? So for them, may mga trust issues na sila. Okay? So considering the impact of their experiences. Okay? Okay, let's try to answer this pre-test. Okay? Tanawon ta. Okay lang. This is to gauge also your, anyway, answer ni Viniguro. Okay. So, number 1, kindly type your answers sa chat box, ha? Okay? So that everybody would have their participation. Okay? No need to vocally answer it out, just type it in your chat, in our chat box. Okay, so which population group is the fastest growing in the US? Is A, children, B, teens, C, elders, D, women. Okay, kindly type in your answers in the chat box. Ito wala man may nag-answer, abi. Okay. Sige, I'm seeing a lot of C's, no, for your answer. Okay, next question. Elder abuse most commonly occurs in nursing home and residential care facilities. Is it true or false? Okay, kindly type in your answers. So I'm seeing a lot of truths, no? Majority do true. Okay. Next question, number 3. Nurses do not need to report elder abuse unless they are sure that abuse has occurred. Okay? For number 3, is it true or false? Nurses do not need to report elder abuse unless they are sure that abuse has occurred. Okay, false, false, false. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of false. Okay, next. Number 4. So this one. Suspected elder abuse in the community should be reported to blank. What agency? Okay, I'm seeing vow C. Okay, vow C, vow C. Okay, vow C. Mostly answered, rather all of you answered vow C. Okay, so the 3 types of elder abuse are blank, blank, and blank. Enumerate at least 3. Common: verbal abuse, physical neglect, emotional neglect, no, physical abuse, physical, emotional, verbal. Okay? Okay, so sige. No, it's good that you are having your I like about a person. What I like about a person is that no it's a sign of maturity ko no that you are able to express no your thoughts or your opinion. Same is true also when you are trying to answer something regardless of the outcome, no, be it correct or hindi, at least imo ina siya. Okay, kumbaga may ara ka say. Okay, still there are. Okay, sige, so hold on to your answers, no, because we'll try to see no the correct answers to these questions. Okay. This one. So anyway, let's try to answer number 6, no? Which of this is not an example of possible elder abuse? Letter A. Although patient complains of pain, the caregiver rarely provides pain meds or prescribe PRN meds to the patient. Letter B. Family member responsible for providing care leaves bed-bound person unattended all day. Letter C, patient with severe dementia is left alone for long periods of time without supervision. Or letter D, the adult refuses to have a baby in order to provide parents with the grandchild that they deserve. Okay, is it A, B, C, or D? Okay, so almost all of you no, are typing letter D. No? Sige. So we'll try to see the correct answer to this one, no, to these questions. So no, in addition to the ones that we have taken up last time, no, why is there a need no to talk about elder abuse? Although it's ara na nakabalandra na da ang answers, no, I'd like to solicit your opinions. Why is there a need for us, no, lalo na kita nga medical practitioners to talk about elder abuse. Yes, Jane.
Because ma'am, handaan you know nga ang elder patients are vulnerable ma'am pag wala siya lamang strength. Mag-isa pa ma'am, amo na gani base amo na pagid man ang reason kung may abuse, ano pagid ang reason nga mag-occur ang mga sakit nila ma'am. Maybe amo na ang gatrigger.
Okay, thank you, Jane, no? So that is correct. Nami ang gikublasin niya, no? Kayo are very honest. Nang, sorry, nalipat ko pagambal nga tapos na ang type. You have to raise your hand so that we could have interaction. Okay? Miss Dadivas, no? Sorry. It's also my fault. Wala ko nagambal. You raise your hand kung answer na. Okay? O, sige. Let's hear another answer from Miss Istolas.
Elder abuse, ma'am, should be talked about because most cases are not reported, and elderly are most vulnerable when it comes to abuse. Kaya sila ang most common hindi maka-speak up, wala sila sa sarili nilang voice because of the psychological changes man when it comes to aging. And also, same man siya ma'am sa mental health nga hindi siya masyado nasustoryahan. It's too stigmatized siguro. And especially here in the Philippines, too stigmatized naman ang abuse ng elderly. Tapos hindi pa maistoryahan mo yan. So, muna.
Okay, so thank you, no, for your answers. I have heard to and common denominator is always vulnerable. And siguro we have to end the culture, especially here in the Philippines, no, that violence is a part of our discipline, no? Even with raising kids, no, it's a part of discipline. So there should be no man ano ni bala, there should be a boundary, no? Kay hindi sa ato na ba nga Pinoy pag medyo may physical ano ni gani um physical involvement sang discipline, do kumbaga sa aton it's just normal, no, do parts ng aton culture. But syempre there should be a healthy boundary between ang ginatawag nila nga tough love, no, kag ang abuse itself. Okay, so your answers, no, are correct. It's because it signifies and it shows only that this particular population, no, and we all have heard Tio ang ilang may kumbaga there is a common denominator which is vulnerability. Okay, so in the US setup, no, the abuse for this particular age group is, no, reported to adult protective services. But here in the Philippines, kay sino ang nag-handle sini nga mga case? No, I remember you answered VAUSI. Right?
VAUSI.
In your answer kagina, it's VAUSI. Oo, it actually, no, your VAUSI is for for children, women and children. Okay? So kung tigulang nga babae, di pwede dito. No, what if kung lalaki siya? VAUSI will not be able to cater that particular case, no, because it specifically states that this particular services or this particular program, no, is intended for children and women. No, violence against women and children. Pero sa mga katigulangan, in general, sino ang nag-handle?
DSWD ma'am.
Okay, it's your Department of Social Welfare and Development. So, amo na siya ang counterpart ng Adult Protective Services that galing sa Philippines. It's more of generic, no? So ang DSWD amo na siya din ang ma-subdivide, may mga social workers ina sila nga are those that are trained to handle different population group. Okay? Unlike sa US, sila very very specific, no? Kag very organized, no? Kung may adult, may child protective services, no? Naga-subdivide ang ilang agencies. Okay? So the correct answer for that one is actually for the previous question, sa aton sa Philippines, it's the DSWD that handles this particular cases. Although may involvement sang police, no, kay they have to do investigation also, no? Yung mga involvement sang local authorities. Okay? So, to answer the question regarding the fast growing population, and I guess I have shown you demographics, no, during our first parts ng aton class, no, una-una gid, and it has projected that over the in the forthcoming years, no, it is projected that the adult population, the elderly population, older adult population is rapidly rising. Okay? Correct answer is letter C, no, the elder adult. Hala, wala nag-move ako niya. Okay, dali lang. Next slide. Hi, sorry. Langgit load nga ako internet. Wait lang gid ha. Dali lang ako. Anyway, dali lang, what's wrong ha? Okay, so anyway, dali lang. In these slides, I will be showing you the different signs, no? Signs that you have to watch out for you to suspect that a person or a particular adult or older adult might be a victim of domestic abuse or violence. Okay? So, while I'm trying to open my dali lang. Dali lang gid guys ha. I'm trying to reload my slides. Sorry gid. This is one of the problems, no, of having online class. Ari na siya. Salamat. Okay. So when we talk about, no, elder abuse, this is defined by National Center on Elder Abuse, no, we define it, no, as any knowing, intentional, or negligent act by a caregiver or any other person that causes harm or a serious risk of harm to a vulnerable adult. So, butsilingon, no, there is the intention. Okay, there is the intention to or there is the knowledge, no, that that particular caregiver knows that when he or she do not perform or ignore this particular need, no, magaresult ini siya sa harm. Okay? Or it may bring about damage to the elder or the older adult. Okay? So we have learned the different types of abuse, no? Previously we have mentioned about skip ko na lang ni siya kay we have discussed this one already, no, your physical abuse, your verbal abuse, psychosocial abuse, then we could also include within here your neglect, no, and your abandonment. Okay? So this one is the statistics, no, in the California sa US ni siya. Okay? So sa US, it is reported that over 104,000 reports of abuse and neglect. So imagine, no, in 1 year recorded 104,000, no, claims of abuse and neglect. That's a large number. So do kaluluoy no manumdum ka 104,000 okay ang napabayaan, no, or may have experienced abuse or neglect. Okay? So, this one, no, the reason why we have to talk about elder abuse, no, is this, no. For every report of abuse, no, approximately 23.5 cases go unreported. So, imagine the ratio, 104,000, you multiply it by 24, i-round off ta. 24, 240 ang wala gina-report. So, ang ara lang nakita ta mong 104, but what about this 24 cases, no, for every one reported case? And if you can remember itong una-una tang slide, no, it mentioned that the victim felt guilty of the abuse that she have experienced. Okay? So, na mo na gani that elder abuse, no, we have to end this particular stigma, no, or ang dira that kumbaga it's not okay, no, for it's not okay that family members would opt to let the older or the elderly experience physical or neglect or even emotional or psychosocial trauma. Okay? It's not okay nga kada kay ikaw na ang ikaw na ang breadwinner, so ikaw na ang may karapatan nga magtumboy sa imo nga mga dependents, which includes the elderlies, di ba? So we have to end that kind of practice in our culture. Okay? So as early as now, no, as early as your age, you have to remember, no, sa inyong nga edad, when you have kids, you really have to, kumbaga, you have to build a healthy and strong relationship with them. Okay? Although hindi tayo na sila insurance policy ang aton nga mga kabataan, but then again, di ba, there is a saying na that you reap what you sow. So regardless kung hindi ka man yung mag-demand sa ila because you have sown love out of your kids, so more likely you would be harvesting the same amount of love also. No? So we have to butang yung when you become when you become parent someday. So common characteristics, we have taken up this one already, so I'll skip that one na lang, no. So victims are also from all races, gender, sexual orientation, and even countries of origin. Okay? So wala ginapili nga ay kay American or Chinese or Filipinos, wala may ginapili nga race, no. In every country of every continent may ara gidira, no, nga victims of this particular case, no, domestic abuse and violence. Okay. So, red flag situation. So, these are the indicators that you have to take note, no, as medical practitioners, no, or medically oriented practitioners later on, no. These are your red flag situations, most especially when you will be handling this particular population group. Okay? So caregivers now with inadequately treated mental health and or substance abuse problems, no? Who also first and foremost kung may unstable mental health, no, and they are also feeling burdened, no, and especially resentful and are providing care for. Okay? So those individuals nga hindi bukal sa loob no ang pag-alaga sinang tigulang, and those who feel like they are burdened, and most especially when they are caring for adults who have problematic behaviors, no, if you can still remember, one of the risk or the characteristic of the victim is my problematic behavior ano ni gani, they are prone to have or to experience domestic abuse because many of their problematic behavior, like gamay-gamay lang as mga ano dira manakit, no. So usually kung ang caregiver ano gani ni medyo malipot ang pasensya, so more likely, no, ang matabo sini balusan ni ang tigulang. If you can still recall sino lapit sa Sigma, daw just this week lang. May taga Sigma dire.
Atong danit o lumamos. Ano to?
Yes. Oo, no? So that one is a perfect example of this. Okay? Wala siya ginutan, actually ulog ito something nga paglabo niya lang doon na parts ng iya skull ang nataplas. Okay? Doon na basta na upod ang parts ng iya skull. Okay? So this one is a perfect example of that problematic behavior of older adults. So ang natabo, no, that suspect may dugay na siya gali nga himumunot sa tigulang, no, because syempre ang tigulang siguro nang amo na ba those who are physically combative or verbally abusive, lalo na inong mga sinauna balang mga tigulang nga daw may lahi gid sang mga ano ni is kinat sila bala nga ano ni nga way of life, no. Actually ano gid ako ng I am a witness to that. It's because my grandfather amo gina ang ila nga ano ila nga upbringing bala sa ila kinat sila style. So I have experienced man no ginlagas ako ni tatay sa duko, no. Mga ano those times, because as teenager nalipat actually ato do ka kagamay nga bagay ari ako sa amon nga cousin diri luyo balay lang gid namo, nalipat lang ako maglaong, though that was my fault. Okay, nalipat ako maglaong nga ara ako sa piyak balay may birthday. Ano, it's despedida for one of our friends malakat na the next day abroad. So that, you know, when you are teenager, do chill lang, no? Tapos, na-realize ko, it's already 9 p.m. na wala ako nakalaong. Siyempre, you know naman, traditional nga mga tigulang, they are very particular nga dapat 6 p.m. Para lata na na mga muna, balang eksena. So, I forgot to ask permission. So, pagpuli ko, I realized, oh my God, 9 p.m. na. So, si tatay, my grandfather, was already staying gali sa sala, ready na siya for my grand entrance. Okay, so hinahinay man ako, nagtipto pag open ko sang portahan. Syempre nagraraga ang among portahan. Nambal niya na tata. Sino na? Namo na ng entro. Sigut, tay, ako ni tay. With matching dalagan. I saw him already getting his ng sanduko. Pero syempre hindi makuguro paglabon do nang out of kainggit niya lang. It's already no kagwala pa ako. So when I remember that, my friends kept laughing at me kay hambal nila no nya nang namisok ang kami pagmuklat ko ara ka na nang sa tubang ko. It's because dasig-dasig ko no akong dalagan. So mga muna nga ano wala mga style pero lucky for me kay hindi gid man si akon grandparent physically combative but very very strict lang gid. Okay? Galing there are also mga tigulang gid man abi nga physically ano man bala their form of discipline is physical no patupa gid siya. So siguro no bridging the past and the present nakita ko that technique I guess won't be effective for your generation no sa inyo henerasyon hindi na pwede magpatupa-tupa kay gaano na do it's kumbaga it's na no longer ano na applicable do obsolete na okay so siguro sa to sa case ng suspect 18 years old gin ano siya gin sa ano niya na impito siya kuno lasang kahulugbon siguro muna nga napatay niya iya nga ginakabig niya nga grandfather. Okay? So this is a good example of that of this particular scenario, no? Mga physically and verbally abusive or problematic um, older adults, okay? So who abuses? So 90% of older abuse is perpetrated by relatives. So again, no, remember characteristic of your perpetrator, no, not penetrator, Miss Lalis, your perpetrator, okay? 90% of them are ano ni the perpetrators are relatives. It's because one of the good ano gani is that the perpetrator is and the victim lives in one ano lang house. Okay? So of this statistics 50% are adult children, no? And 52% are men. 30% are themselves over 60 years. So this one very significant ini ang last two numbers. Why is it no ang abusers dako 52% of these abusers are men. Nga man. Kataas no sa statistics in terms of when we talk about the sex no of the abuser. So dominant ang men. Why do you think men are abusers? Yes, Miss. Sino ini ang nag-raise? Yes, Miss Badana.
For me lang yung ma'am ha, it is because I can see wala ko sa gano kasi may mga aking. Pero for me lang ma'am, kaya ang men, do mas may kaya sila abi ma'am. For example ma'am, sa away abi, nang gaaway bi ang mag-asawa. Hay ang bayi ya, nang more on sa ato niya, mahinay man tayo mag-ano abi. Sila ya do, damo sila ya sa strength bala ma'am nga which makes them dominant isa nga kung mangakig sila na nag-lead nga nagapang sakit na sila without them knowing hasta sa ulihin nang ginadinay nila nga gapang abuse na sila dumina lang sa akon ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Erica. No, so men are biologically they are more ano ni ang strength no, as compared to the other gender. Okay. So aside from physical strength, ano pagid? What do you think is another factor which makes them ano? Yes, ni Rada. Okay, Rada.
I think, ma'am, because men have ilabla patience, ma'am, manubok, ma'am, kesa sa women. Muna nga dasig sila bala mga mainit, then ginapatukagid nila. Muna lang, ma'am.
Okay, thank you no Miss Baulinaw no. So I saw sino to kagina ang isa ka male na nag-raise ang hand. Yes,
Ako,
Mr. Bell. Okay, sige, go ahead.
ay mostly ma'am men, kay palahubog sila ma'am. Sometimes nga natutukan ng mga adults na sometimes magpuli bala ma'am. Ay kung hubog, then wala ma'am.
Okay, so we are not speaking in ano ni siya ha as a whole para sa time we are lang in ano majority. Okay, not all but majority, no? Yes, Miss Amarillo, would you like to add something?
My own opinion lang gid ma'am kay so nabatian ko man niya siya sa sa dati na mong class nga ang mga men bala ma'am hindi sila very vocal sa ilang nga feelings. So ang frustration bala nila ma'am through physical nila ginapagwa ma'am una nga ano sila. Amo nang kakatabo ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Miss Amarillo. No? So you have summed up gid ang characteristics ang not all, kumbaga this is innate nature of men, no? But not all. Okay? So most men are short-tempered, no? Dali ay la patience, hindi mo na kalaba as compared sa aton nga females. Okay? Then, again, yes, they are not vocal. So, ila tendency, pag akig sila, they would physically ma-manifest ini nila in by physical means. So, pwede nga sumbago nila ang ano man no offense with any other male or amuni nila na gesture. It's their nature mo. Kay akon mga tito ko man, no? May titos are like this. Pag akig gani, mayo lang gani kay dingding lang ila ginapatupan, no? Or mga kung nanod sa palibot. Because it is their innate nature, no? But not tanan man, ha? Not tanan. And most men also, no, especially most men, are into alcoholic drink are alcoholic drinkers, no? Correct man adto, it's because kung hubog, no, pag mainit ang ulo kalabanan nga lalaki, usually yung babae pag hubog, di ba, wala na gani strength para mag-resort into physical abuse. Okay? So that is correct. That's why mas taas ang incidence, no, of men as abusers. Okay. Another statistics here, no, 30% of the abusers are themselves over 60 years old. Okay, so why do you think this is a significant statistics? Nga man included, why do you think nga ining mga 60 years old? What are the factors? Yes, Miss Badana.
Again, ma'am, in my opinion, because according to that theory, bala ma'am, I forgot na maluwat sa theory, wherein sa dira nabi nga age, sa dira nadatanan ang mga realization ng kakatabo for me. So during that realization, maybe some, or I'd say majority, are having guilt or mga damo bala sila sa mula nahimo sila life nga na naging burden nga para sa ila kay syempre dira nga age siya they are, especially kung hindi ka manabi manggaranon, rare na kamo sa entertainment nga maobra sa mga teens. So in that way dira na sila nakaka-feel guro sa depression, some being alone kay ila sina ang mga kids usually ara niya sa iba nga mga lugar. So dira na datanan ga come up ang realization base more on ang pag-vent out nila is in that way. Yan lang.
Okay, so this is in accordance to Eric Erickson's psychosocial stages of psychosocial development. May mga tasks nga kinahanglan i-resolve for those a particular age. So when we talk about pwede sila between generativity versus stagnation or ego integrity versus despair, no? So tama ina, there are issues that they have to resolve, just like kung wala damo sila sang mga frustration sa ila life. And take note, they're also senior citizens themselves. No, they belong to the older adult group also. And syempre ining population nga ini are also, kumbaga, they are also short-tempered naman, no? And kung may mga unresolved issues and conflicts sila with their younger life, more likely they may have during this stage. So ang tabo, event out nila, pwede nga ginaalagaan nila, which sa ila bala panumduman that I have to be taken care of also because I'm also old naman, no? So muna, this particular population group is also at risk for becoming perpetrators. Okay? So in here, Oops, stay lang. Let's wait lang for the next slide. So anyway, pabasahon ko na lang, no? Which is setting where elder abuse most commonly occurs? Is it in adult daycare center, nursing home, at home, in the community, or in the hospital? So, what's your answer? Pick a guess lang.
Nursing
Oh, what's your
home.
answer? Sige,
At
Miss
home
Lalis,
pa.
nursing
At home,
home,
ma'am.
at
At home
home,
definitely.
in the community. Okay. So, lain-lain inyong answers, no? So, the correct answer is letter C, no? Believe it or not, no? Believe it or not, the occurrence of abuse and violence, no, takes place most commonly at home, no? So, hindi siya sa nursing home, hindi siya sa hospital. Okay, it's because in the nursing home, mga incidences, kita man sang abuse, pero hindi sang common, hindi high, no? It's because those that are taking care of this particular population group in the different, three other settings, are more oriented to proper dealing with this particular population group. Whereas, kung asa or care ang immediate family member ang caregiver. Okay? So, here, no, unlike children, elders and their caregivers often become isolated and there are few protective measures in place to watch out for them. So, this is one of the reasons, lalo na kung ara sa balay. Unlike kung siya sa adult daycare center, damo, no, nga other persons who could report for the abuse that took place, no? This is why the role of mandated reporters like nurses is so important. So as to the question earlier, yes, you are mandated to report, no, a suspected elder abuse case. Miskan diri sa Philippine setting, Philippine setup, upon receiving, kung ara ka sa ER, upon receiving, no, a patient in the ER, regardless of the age group, pag makita domestic violence or abuse nga case, you are bounded by the law to take precaution or to take measures as to reporting. Okay? So gina go through na siya sa aton nga layi. Okay? Sa aton nga law. Okay? So as nurses, ang aton nga scope of practice, no, is also very wide, and we comes along also with this is our responsibilities. Okay? This one, mandated reporters must make reports of suspected self-neglect to adult protective services or to our case mga proper agencies. Ay, sorry. Ay, project ko ng answer, sorry. Okay, A and B, no? For people living in the community, abuse can be reported either to apps or law enforcement. So anyway, it's more of the US setting mo. So diri sa aton, no, there is a process that we have to observe also. Usually naga-start, no, kung sa sulod sang balay, local ang authorities permi ang una nga ginadangpan or the barangay officials. Okay, so in case hindi available, then we proceed to our police, no, and then ang police naton would also notify the SWD. Okay? This one, not a question that was projected earlier. Nurses must only report elder abuse or neglect or self-neglect when they are sure that abuse is taking place. So most of you answered true. Okay? So, with the correct answer is false. Again, dali lang, sorry. Yes, correct answer is false, no? Regardless, no, of the intensity of the symptoms or the signs rather presented by the patient, pag nagsuspect ikaw nga nga abuse niya, you have to report it. Kaya anyway, investigation. Okay? May investigation na siya mag-take place, and aside from that, it is mentioned here, no, that
the signs of elder abuse are subtle. So hindi nyo masyado, hindi siya muna ka-intense nga para mag-alarm or makaano ka bala maka-cause isang alarm. Sometimes it's very non-noticeable, no? Non-noticeable siya. Okay? So abi mo do okay lang, but if you have noticed nga that something is wrong, then you are bounded to know that this particular patient may be a victim of domestic abuse. Okay? So, let's skip that one lang. Ay more. Okay, this one. No? These are the different clues, no, or the signs that you have to take note or put into consideration para makahambal ka, this patient or elderly is a victim, no, of abuse. So physical status or status clues would pabayaan na lang, no? Poor hygiene. Okay? So that is a sign of neglect. Bruising. Damo siya gaob-gaob, no? So pwede nga ba ginakastigo siya. Excuse me. Low weight, no? A sign of malnourishment. Dehydration, also a sign of malnourishment, no? Burns or restraint marks, especially for those who are physically abused. Over or under medicated. No, iban, no, it's a sign of neglect for the caregiver, pinabuang lang siya hatag sang bulong. And classic one, no, pinakaanugid, especially ini, no, if the patient is admitted due to a broken bone, no, yung do further assessment. Nga na ano ni, nga nagka-amo ni nga condition ang patient. Test, ha? Kabasi kag you are being out of your out of your limitations kag hindi na siya assessment nagikichismis ka na ya kung ano ang natabo. Anyway, you would know man, no, you also have to look at the reaction, no, of the immediate family member, reaction of the patient kay kung gabutig ang patient or gabutig ang family member, you would detect hesitation pag ina-interview sila. Okay? So pag pag ma-prove na ya ang cause nga may broken bone, don't become a marites kay hambal ni ma'am further investigate, no, hindi you have to know your limits also. Okay, pag clear na ang cause of the injury, then you may stop, no, tama na nga pang ususo. Okay? Pero pag kita mo gani nga something do may hesitation ang imo nga patient mag-answer, same with the immediate family member, be discreet discreetly do your assessment. Okay? Hindi sinang do hayagan ay hindi basi amo mo ni gintuklod mo ni siya or ginpabayaan mo ni siya, no, hindi, don't do that. Okay? Be discreet lang. Okay? And always maintain professionalism. Okay? So mental status clues, no, you have to take note, no, if your patient is confused, no, depressed, although very challenging mag-abot sa mental clues, it's because there are patients who would not admit, no, that they are experiencing violence, rather than ang ila first nga reaction is mahuya la. Okay, so taguon nila. Okay, and sometimes they would mask a happy and cheerful nilang ila balang frontline frontline reaction, no, happy and cheerful. That's why mas challenging ang mental status clues mo, no. Or there may be also, except na lang kung very traumatic dili ang experience, ha, if the patient do makita mo gid nga na trauma siya do, so very very obvious gid ini ang mga signs nga ini. Sudden change and behavior, fearful na this one, especially kung may trauma, no, or suspicious, and patient report that bills, no, have become confusing. Okay, so sometimes gina project nila ang ilang confusion in some other areas or some other topics. Okay? So relationship, this one is a strong indicator, no?
So, unahon mo ni siya para ma-connect the dots talaga yun. Okay? So, relationship, status clues, or status clues, no? Stories are inconsistent. Okay? Caregiver won't let you talk to the patient alone because gani they have fear that the patient reveal what is true. Okay? And then this one, caregiver speaks for the patient. Then there is also history or previous reports of abuse. And there is delay in seeking care. So inabalang ara na siya sa severe infection dispisa ya nagkadto sa ospital. No, same is true with a broken bone nga do nagamal ano ni there is already uh, malformations no in body structure before nag-seek sang care or even impairment or the impairment in the functions. Okay? Body language of patient, o this one, remember, no, won't make eye contact with you. Okay? Hindi ka kabutig when you are looking in the eye of a unless professional and okay. Pero if you're a normal person, you can tell a lie, especially when you're looking in the eye. No, ako amo ginaang weakness ko. No, times I am very prangka, very honest. You know that I'm lying. So hindi mo ko pwede ikunsyaba sa mga prank-prank kag patulukon sa mata kay madakpan. Maybe ano na lang hindi behind the scene, no, hindi lang ako patumbangon mga prank-prank kay hindi ko gid kaya. Okay, do mauna pa ako yung reveal. Okay, so anyway, no, body language is very important also when you are assessing your when you are assessing your patient. Kaya syempre, hindi mo makuha na ang mental clues nimo unless makita mo no that there is something. Kumbaga may ara ka sang hint. No, hindi ka magduda. No, hindi ka magduda nga something is wrong unless makita mo ni anay nga mga clues nga ini. Then you can further connect the dots with other clues that were mentioned. Okay? So caregiver, so ginabalik dyan, no? Caregiver clues, no? Mga risk factors for caregivers, no? The first, number one, this has already been mentioned in our previous class, no? Caregiver has treated mental health issues, and caregiver indicates burden, resentment, or frustration, and caregiver abuses alcohol or drugs, so may mga vices siya. Okay? So for this one, no, deprivation, no, deprivation of social social support or even socialization with other um individuals, no, telephone call screen, hindi pwede yung accept sang tawag even with your another example, matawag ang isa mo ka bata, hindi ka pwede kasabat, no, direkta, or hindi pwede kasabat ang tigulang direkta without the approval sang isa niya ka anak na amo ang nag-aalaga sa iya. Okay, or without the approval of the perpetrator. And isolated, no? So, patient is told she is sick and needs to stay in bed, no, mga mental conditioning nga ini. Okay, and etc. So, anyway, we have taken up that one naman. This one, so environmental status clues, no? Nantawa bala, there is clutter and there is failed. Okay, this is for those who have been neglected or even for those who have been abandoned. Okay? So, So, how do you, uh, how do you respond, no? To this, to this particular victims, no? You can use statements like, okay, I don't know if this is a problem for you, but because so many patients I see are dealing with abusive relationships, I have started asking about it routinely, or because there is help available for my patients who are being abused, I now ask everyone about the possibility if it is occurring to them, or even, no, ang walang kamatayang allowing silence. Okay? So, you do not confront directly, ha? Hindi ka magabal nga, kumbaga you have to break it to them gently. Okay? Do not say nga, ay, ginakastigo ka sa imo nga bata or need to be, again, you always have to observe this particular therapeutic communications techniques when you are dealing with
ano kay iniabi nga mga concepts bala no, especially when we talk about mga mental health, it is very sensitive. So the choice of words, no, remember this one, the choice of words is very important because you might trigger something, no, or you might, instead of being helpful, you might add burden, no, to your patient, no, basikag. And at the same time, you also have to observe your tone of voice, no, iba niya normal sa ila, pero kung ano ni, kung i-interpret ng iba na daw sa naakig na, no, may ara ko na friend, normal lang yan kaya tuno, pero abis ang iba niya naakig siya. Okay? So you also have to you also have to be sensitive also with your your tone of your voice. Okay? Okay, so this one, examples no of your questions you may ask. Does anyone Does anyone threaten, hurt, or abuse you? Do you feel safe where you live? Are you afraid of anyone? Are you made to stay in your room or left alone a lot? Okay? Or, no? Some people find it difficult to care for a patient with your mother's condition. Do you? So, this is a good example directed to a caregiver para makita mo if there is resentment. No? So, with that question, ma-open up na siya. Not really, but I find it, amo na masaysay na sa. So, you would be able to assess if there is, kumbaga, if the role is being taken bukal sa loob, no, or may resentment. Okay? Sorry. Okay. The, to um to assess your patient, you always have to bear in mind that you have to respect your patient's autonomy and respect your patient's confidentiality. So after this, actually, ang ato nga topic is the legal and ethical issues concerning care of the older adult. Okay? So this one, US based ni siya. So anyway. Okay. So in here, no, as part of our responsibility, we have to know the signs and report suspected abuse and neglect, no? So sa hospital, if you are set receiving in the ER SOP na ang gina-follow, so you have to be familiar with that one also. So in the nursing home, may mga SOPs man ina siya. So in the community also, no, we are bounded by our profession, by our pledge that we have to safeguard lives, no? So we are bounded by our profession that whenever we witness, no, something that is harming or an event that which harms the life or the lives of others, we are bounded by our profession to report these abuses. Okay? So, also, you have to help older patients and their families navigate the care systems, no, for referral, and document care agreements and possible signs of mistreatment. This is also to protect you, no, especially in documentation nga ini kay when you are caring for the older adult kag base may mga bruises dira na yang nga daan present which was na ano lang nalingan. So you have to document those things so that you will be protected kay base bala ibalik sa imo, no, ikaw ya ang ang nag-cause ng gaob ni ina, no, or you may be the cause of that particular injury. So you have to always know, you have to have the presence of mind to know always the things that you have to do to protect your patient. At the same time, you have to protect yourself also. Okay? And part of our advocacy also, we have to raise awareness, no, in ending domestic abuse and violence, not only in the older adult population, but at the same time in all population groups. Okay? So I think that would be all, no, for our topic for this evening. Salamat na tapos ta siya. Oops. Okay, so are there any questions?
No, ma'am.
None, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
verifications, no? You know, mga nursing students, nursing students, new pagod na. Well, anyway, no, that's life. Okay, nothing comes easy. So, I'll be giving a quiz for our next meeting. Okay? Galing kay for sure. Saan galing yung case presentation?
Next week, ma'am.
Friday. So, I
Tuesday,
guess, so anyway,
Wednesday,
no,
ma'am.
hindi man naman. Okay. So, anyway, hindi affected aton nga schedule. So, wala ka mo virtual Christmas party? Wala man siguro, no? Kaya do, anyway, do disconnected man ako sa realidad. May seldom go to the school. Would like kung lang, kung online. So anyway, no, for updates, just be ready for next week. I might be giving a short quiz lang. Okay? So, i-upload ko lang ang slides nga ini. Okay? So, if there's no